What if I told you that the single most effective thing you could do today to protect yourself from a fall, more effective than any grip sock, any bathroom rail, any balance gadget you could buy, is not something you purchase, not something you install, and not a brand new workout routine? The answer is something much simpler than that. It is a change in the way you walk. One small, specific adjustment to a movement you have been making your entire life, and one you have almost certainly been making incorrectly for years without ever realizing it. After more than 2 decades working with adults over 70, I have watched this exact scenario play out more times than I can count. Someone comes in after a fall, shaken and confused. They tell me, "I was just walking to the bathroom. I wasn't doing anything risky." And they are right. They weren't doing anything unusual. That is precisely the problem. The way they walk every single day had quietly become dangerous, and nobody had ever pointed it out to them. Today, I want to change that for you. I am going to show you what is most likely happening in your own walk right now, why it is putting you at real risk, and the one adjustment that can begin protecting you immediately, starting with your very next step. No equipment required, no gym membership, just one correction that could genuinely make the difference between staying independent and ending up in the emergency room. Before we get into it, if you have not subscribed yet, take a moment to hit that button and turn on notifications so you never miss a health tip made specifically for you. And if this video is helpful, type 1 in the comments. If you feel I could do better, type 0. I read every comment and it genuinely shapes what I make next. Let me paint a picture for you, and I want you to think honestly about whether it sounds familiar. Picture someone walking down a hallway. Their steps are noticeably shorter than they used to be. Their feet barely lift off the ground. Instead, they slide forward in a low, dragging motion. Their upper body leans slightly forward. Their eyes are fixed on the floor a few feet ahead. Their arms barely swing. They move carefully, almost cautiously, because somewhere underneath the surface, they no longer fully trust the ground beneath them. This is sometimes called a shuffling gait, and it is one of the most common and most dangerous walking patterns I see in people over 70. It does not appear overnight. It develops slowly, gradually, so gradually that most people never notice it happening at all. What begins as a little extra caution after a stumble or a close call slowly becomes the new normal. The steps shorten. The feet stop lifting cleanly. The posture tips forward. And what feels in the moment like careful and safe walking is actually one of the highest risk movement patterns the human body can adopt. Here is exactly why. When your feet barely clear the ground with each step, any small irregularity in the surface, a rug edge, a slightly raised threshold, an uneven patch of sidewalk, becomes an immediate trip hazard. There simply is not enough clearance between your foot and the floor to absorb a mistake. And because your steps have gotten shorter and your weight is already tilted forward, the instant your toe catches on something, your body has no time and no space left to recover. The fall happens before your brain has even registered that you are falling. A shuffling pattern also reveals something happening beneath the surface. The muscles responsible for lifting your leg with each stride, your hip flexors, your glutes, your core, have weakened from simple underuse, and the neurological pathway connecting your brain's intention to your leg's action has slowed down with disuse as well. The genuinely good news is that both of these things are reversible, and the reversal begins with one specific change. The change I want you to make, starting today, is this. From this moment forward, every single step you take should begin with your heel touching down first. This is called a heel strike, and it is how the human body was biomechanically designed to walk. When your gait is healthy and unguarded, your heel makes contact with the ground first. Your weight then rolls smoothly forward, through the arch, across the ball of your foot, and finally pushes off through your toes to launch the next step. It is a continuous, rolling, efficient motion, one of the most stable and effective patterns the human body has ever produced. But here is what happens over years of accumulated caution. As the supporting muscles weaken and confidence in your own balance quietly erodes, that heel strike begins to disappear. The foot starts landing flat, or sometimes toe first, in a pattern that is shorter, lower to the ground, and far less stable. The rolling motion through the foot stops. The push-off through the toes stops. And shuffling takes over. With every month this continues, the very muscles responsible for producing a proper heel strike grow weaker still, simply because they are no longer being asked to do their job. So what does correcting this actually look like in practice? It is simpler than most people expect. With each step, reach your heel slightly forward, just a few inches further than you would naturally, and let it make contact with the ground first. Feel your weight shift forward through the length of your foot. Let your toes push off behind you as the next step begins. And above all, lift your foot completely off the ground. Do not slide it. Pick it up, reach it forward, and land cleanly on the heel. When this is done correctly, several things happen at once. Your step length naturally lengthens, which immediately improves your forward stability and momentum. Your foot properly clears the floor with each stride, eliminating the risk of catching on surface irregularities. Your posture corrects itself automatically. The heel strike pulls your weight back and upright, out of that forward-leaning shuffle position, and your hip flexors, glutes, and core are suddenly asked to engage again, which begins rebuilding the very strength that protects you from falling in the first place. One single adjustment, but it sets off a chain reaction throughout your entire body that begins working with you instead of quietly working against you, one step at a time. Now let me walk you through 5 exercises that will make this new pattern feel natural, automatic, and genuinely strong. Exercise 1, the conscious heel strike walk. Why it matters. Before anything else, you need to practice the heel strike itself, slowly, deliberately, and with complete awareness. Most people who have shuffled for months or years have genuinely lost the motor pattern of a proper heel strike. The neural pathway that once produced it automatically has faded from disuse. This exercise rebuilds that pathway by asking your brain and legs to practice the correct movement repetition by repetition until it begins to feel automatic again. How to do it? Find a clear hallway or an open space along a wall. Stand at one end, lightly touching the wall with one hand if you need the support. Begin walking, but this time, think about nothing except your heel. With every step, consciously reach it forward and let it land first. Feel the contact. Feel your weight roll through the foot. Feel the toes push off behind you. Take 10 steps forward this way, turn carefully using small marching steps, and walk 10 steps back. That completes one set. Do 3 sets total, resting 30 seconds between each. What to focus on? Slow down significantly. Speed is the enemy of relearning a movement pattern. The slower you walk, the more conscious control you have over each individual step, and the stronger the signal you send to your nervous system. Think of this less as walking and more as deliberate reprogramming. Progress tip. Once the heel strike feels comfortable on flat ground, try it on a different surface, carpet instead of hardwood, for example. That small variation forces your nervous system to adapt and generalize the pattern, which is exactly what real-world safety requires. Exercise 2, the high knee march. Why it matters. One of the most direct consequences of a shuffling gait is that the hip flexors, the muscles responsible for lifting your leg with each step, weaken progressively. When they weaken, your foot clearance drops. And when foot clearance drops, every rug, every doorway threshold, every uneven patch of ground becomes a genuine trip risk. This exercise targets those hip flexors directly and rebuilds the lifting reflex that keeps your feet safely clear of the ground with every stride. How to do it. Stand behind a sturdy chair with both hands resting lightly on the back for support. March in place, lifting your right knee toward your chest as high as comfortably possible, then lowering it back down with control. Then lift the left knee the same way. That is one full repetition. Complete 15 repetitions per side, 30 lifts total, at a slow, deliberate pace. The lift should feel manageable. If it feels too easy, you likely are not lifting high enough. What to focus on? Stand tall throughout the entire exercise. Do not lean your upper body backward as the knee rises. The lifting effort should come entirely from the hip, not from momentum or body lean. And control the lowering phase just as carefully as the lift. That descent builds the strength your leg needs the instant your foot returns to the ground. Progress tip. As this becomes easier, try marching forward slowly down your hallway, lifting each knee before stepping and placing the heel down first. You are now combining this exercise directly with exercise 1, which closely simulates proper walking and is one of the most effective things you can train at home. Exercise 3, the stride length walk. Why it matters. A shuffling gait dramatically shortens your stride, often to half its original length or less. A short stride is inherently an unstable stride. It reduces your forward momentum, disrupts your natural balance rhythm, and forces your center of gravity into an uncomfortable forward-pitched position. This exercise gently challenges you to extend your stride back toward a safer, more stable range, rebuilding both the muscle memory and the confidence a proper gait requires. How to do it? Place 2 pieces of tape on your hallway floor, roughly 18 inches apart. This is your stride target. Standing at one end, step forward and aim to land your heel at or just past the second marker. Step with the other foot, landing the heel the same distance away. Continue down the length of the hallway this way for 10 full strides, then turn and walk back. Complete 2 full lengths. What to focus on? Do not lunge or overreach. The goal is a comfortable, natural extension of your stride, not an exaggerated one. If 18 inches feels like too much, start at 12. The exact distance matters far less than building the habit of reaching that heel forward with intention on every single step. Progress tip. Over time, move the markers slightly further apart, half an inch at a time, to progressively extend your stride. Most people are genuinely surprised by how quickly their natural stride lengthens once they begin training it consciously. Exercise 4. The slow motion walk. Why it matters. Speed is exactly where proper walking mechanics tend to fall apart. At normal, everyday pace, we rely heavily on habit and momentum rather than conscious muscle control. For someone actively rebuilding a walking pattern, speed becomes the enemy. The slow motion walk removes speed from the equation entirely, forcing every muscle involved in walking to engage independently and with full control. It is one of the most powerful neurological retraining tools available. How to do it? Stand at one end of your hallway. Begin walking at the slowest pace you can physically manage, so slow that each individual step takes a full 3 to 4 seconds to complete. Lift your foot, pause briefly in the air, reach the heel forward, lower it to the floor, feel the weight shift through your foot, push off through the toes, then begin the next step. Walk the full length of the hallway this way, turn carefully, and return. That is 1 set. Complete 2 sets. What to focus on? This will feel genuinely strange the first time you try it. Slow motion walking is difficult precisely because it removes the shortcuts that habitual movement relies on. Every small wobble you feel is your balance system actively being retrained. Every tiny correction your ankle makes is your nervous system rebuilding its responsiveness. Lean into that difficulty. It is the entire point. Progress tip. Once you feel steady near the wall, try closing your eyes for 2 or 3 slow motion steps. This dramatically increases the sensory challenge and accelerates the neurological adaptation you are working to build. Exercise 5. The obstacle step over. Why it matters. A controlled hallway is a useful starting point, but real life is full of unpredictable obstacles. Rugs, door thresholds, pet toys, stray cords, garden hoses. Every single one of these is a genuine trip hazard for someone with reduced foot clearance. This exercise trains your brain and legs to detect an obstacle, lift the foot high enough to clear it safely, and land confidently on the other side. Exactly the sequence your body needs to execute in a fraction of a second when real life presents the same challenge. How to do it. Place a rolled towel or a similarly soft, lightweight object on your hallway floor, roughly 4 to 6 inches high. Stand a few feet back, with a wall or chair within easy reach. Walk toward the obstacle at a normal, controlled pace. When you reach it, deliberately lift your right foot high enough to clear it with room to spare and step over. Then lift the left foot and clear it completely. Continue a few steps past the obstacle, turn carefully, and return, stepping over it again. Complete 5 passes in each direction, 10 total step-overs. What to focus on? Do not rush as you approach the obstacle. Slow down slightly as you get close, lift your foot early, well before you reach the object, and make the step a deliberate, confident one rather than a reactive scramble. The goal is training your brain to recognize an obstacle in advance and respond with control, not panic. Progress tip. Once this feels easy, vary the height or texture of the obstacle from week to week. You can also try holding something light in one hand while stepping over it, a more accurate simulation of how real-life trips actually tend to happen. Before attempting any of these exercises, please take this seriously, because your safety matters more than progress speed. If you have recently had a hip or knee replacement, are managing plantar fasciitis or another heel condition, or have been advised by your doctor to avoid weight-bearing activity, speak with your physician or physical therapist before beginning. Some of these movements may need modification for your specific situation. Always practice near a wall, countertop, or sturdy chair. Never rush. Wear non-slip footwear or go barefoot on a safe, clean surface. And if at any point you feel sharp pain, dizziness, or anything that does not feel right, stop immediately. No exercise here is worth risking your safety over. Progress at your own pace, and trust your body to tell you when it is genuinely ready for more. Over these last several minutes, you have learned that a shuffling walk is not simply something you have to accept as an inevitable part of aging. It develops gradually, from understandable caution, but it can be unwound just as gradually through deliberate, consistent practice. It begins with one single correction, reclaiming the heel strike, and builds outward from there. The conscious heel strike walk rebuilds the foundational pattern. The high knee march restores the hip flexor strength that lifts your foot safely above the ground. The stride length walk rebuilds the natural distance and rhythm of a confident gait. The slow motion walk retrains the nervous system at the deepest level. And the obstacle step over prepares you for the unpredictable challenges of real life, not just the controlled environment of a hallway. When these exercises are practiced consistently, not perfectly, but consistently, the changes are real and they last. The shortened, shuffling steps begin to lengthen. The forward-leaning posture begins to straighten. The quiet hesitation in your walk begins to give way to something steadier, something closer to confidence. The long-term benefit reaches far beyond the mechanics of walking itself. A safer, more stable gait protects your independence. It reduces the quiet fear of falling that so often steals confidence from older adults without them even realizing it has happened. It preserves your ability to walk to your mailbox, climb your own stairs, chase after a grandchild, and move through your day without constantly wondering whether your legs will hold you. That kind of independence is not a small thing. It is everything. Aging does not require surrendering control over how your body moves. It means learning precisely which movements your body needs at this particular stage of life, and choosing to practice them with care and intention every single day. These 5 exercises are exactly that choice: simple, safe, and powerful in ways that compound over the weeks and months ahead. Now, I would genuinely love to hear from you. Does your walk feel different than it did 5 years ago? Have you noticed your steps getting shorter or your feet not lifting the way they used to? Leave a comment with your age and where you are watching from. Your experience might be exactly what someone else watching today needs to hear. If you found this helpful, leave a comment with the number 1. If you think I could improve something, comment with 0. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life fully on your own terms.